Welcome to the PP Show, where the D-Gens come to have discussions. Here at the PP Show, everyone has a voice, no matter how long you've traded in the markets. We love all opinions at the PP Show, and we hope you do too. Always remember this show is mainly comprised of opinion, speculation, and entertainment. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, you dildo enthusiasts. God bless Teddy and G-Merica. One last thing, always remember, talk is cheap. It takes money.
Fellas, how the fuck you doing, man? It's great to see you guys. Hope you guys have been well as we get together again on another episode here of the Show, man. So great to see you guys tonight. We got a whole lot to unpack here in the last 24 hours, man. It has been absolutely fucking wild, man. I gotta say. Obviously, the things going on with Sultan Almaadeed. Obviously, you saw him reshare the D Squad space out there. He ended up following me as well. Gentleman also by the name of Omar as well, which will take a couple look at these tweets here this afternoon. I don't know, fellas. It's very interesting, might I add, right? They also obviously have a deal. There's obviously in regarding something separate outside of Qatar, but with the UAE, we obviously saw some kind of deal also with the United States coming. I think it was like over 1.4 trillion. So a lot of money is circulating into the United States right now, man. I gotta say, and also it's very tit-jacking when Sultan had mentioned the next gen Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, fellas, we've been talking about this for fucking years now, man. So I don't know. I'm just saying, in the month of March, with everything kind of happening right now, there's a lot, kind of wrapping up here. It does kind of seem interesting, might I add. So great to see you guys this afternoon. We got a whole lot to unpack here. Some updates with the Maritime lawsuit as well. So we'll take a look into that as well. But good to see you guys here this afternoon for a Friday show. Shouldn't be too long, probably a shorter show here, but we should be able to get through here this afternoon. So let's get in the legality. We won't waste any more time, man, and we'll jump straight into the show. So keep in mind, man, I am not a financial expert, nor am I a financial advisor, all right? So please seek the avenues to do so. You're not going to find it here. A lot of this is opinion. A lot of this is speculation. A whole bunch, man, is entertainment, if you haven't guessed it already. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, any guests who come to the show, man, nobody here is a professional. So if you hear any opinions, speculation, TA, things like that, keep in mind, man, nobody here is a professional. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it. Someone said, turn up your mic a little bit, PB. Are we loud enough or not, fellas? Louder? Tell me if that's better. All right. Let's dive into it. Hopefully that's loud enough for you guys. If it's too loud, I will turn it down, but let me know if we are good there. All right. Chat, please give a warm welcome to none other than Michael. All right, what's going on, Michael? Good to see you here this afternoon. How the fuck are we doing, my man?
Doing great. It was a really good day in the market, and it looks like it's going to be even better next week.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting right now, might I add. We got earnings right around the corner. Obviously, everyone's tits are absolutely jacked in the last 24 hours. There's a lot happening here, man, and it's very interesting. Some people are questioning, well, I don't think that's a real account there on X, this Sultan Almaadeed. I'm pretty sure it is. If you actually look through his Instagram, there are some different photos that they're using that he's posting kind of on his X, and you could also go through his old kind of profile timeline. This isn't new. He's been pictured with many CEOs over the years. I do think is a pretty legitimate count if you ask me. So it is very exciting, man. I mean, we're talking about potentially, the one thing I was thinking about before I started the show here as well is that we kind of have this, if you guys notice, the tendency in terms of hype, sometimes hype will get to an all-time low. You don't really see a whole lot of hype, right? And somehow we get jacked back all the way up to 1,000. I don't know, man. I think this deal is bigger than we realize. I think there's a lot of moving parts, more than Ryan Cohen, more than Carl Icahn. There's a very strong possibility. There's a lot of people involved in this, right? So I don't know, just something I kind of noticed, obviously from the last 24 hours. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I think that, some people are saying, oh, there's typos in the LinkedIn and whatnot. And it's one, English is not their first language. And two, they're a lot more like us, right? They just like to YOLO investments and drive around in Lambos. The difference is they actually have lots of money to throw around, and they actually have Lambos, but they literally walk in there with stacks of cash. And, it's, when you see like kind of what's coming together, well, it's all the Gulf countries, right? Saudi, UAE, and Qatar. They're finally all on the same page because there was this power structure which Epstein was very central to, which was the Khashoggi family, which actually literally um, Jeff Bezos, Amazon was giving a lot of money to. So it's like not a coincidence that like the old regime that was running the world, Jeff Bezos was giving money to and part of, and now it's Ryan Cohen and GameStop. So we really are like in Amazon on the ground floor, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is very exciting right now, right? I mean, obviously there could be some very big money kind of coming in, and we did see Almaadeed was pictured with Ryan Cohen. We also did see that he did mention not only a next gen kind of Berkshire Hathaway. We'll take a look at those tweets here in a little bit. He also did mention not only just the the Berkshire stuff, but also the tokenization of shares, right? We also did see Ryan Cohen pictured with Michael Saylor, right? So, I mean, if you connect all of these things together, it does kind of start to paint a very real picture here that, look, the possibility of the tokenization of shares is a very real possibility here. Obviously, it's been discussed for quite some time, the benefits, and everything else, but I do find it all very exciting as well. A lot of money could be coming in very soon to this company. And, one thing I noticed too is that Sultan also had made a comparison with NVIDIA and GameStop. And you can see that GameStop is pretty much, at least in my opinion, probably the better company if you even compare it to NVIDIA. So there's a lot of potential here, man. And, there's a couple things we need to unpack too regarding the Berkshire comparison to their website as well for the investor relations website. So a lot of good things that we need to unpack here, a lot of tinfoil as well. But I don't know, man, things are looking very exciting, fellas, might I add. Go ahead.
To connect some of the dots, right? Remember when Patrick Burns, he said that basically the SEC like was weaponized and they basically just stalled things for T0, right? Because they wanted to give their like China the ability to be the first ones to do the tokenization, right? And so like that was like, so in this whole kind of, I guess, two sides things, right? Like they were, China was going to be the first ones to tokenize assets, but you got the Gulf countries now are like, hey, US, why don't we be the first ones to do this first? And it could be amazing because, the best commodity out there as far as like, business, right, is oil, right? because someone needs it and they use it up and then they have to buy more, right? So having like this economy backed by all this oil is the best way to do it. And then when you pair that with technology, right, data and AI to filter that data and all that, that requires a lot of energy. And so you get these countries that have lots of energy and money from that to invest in technology, and it's going to be a beautiful situation.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that things are kind of lining up here, man, for something pretty explosive. Let's take a look a little bit at here at GameStop. We also have Spurious Splunker here backstage with us. He's going to join us here in just one moment. Let me reload this because I think maybe it's not showing after hours. After hours right now, I think we're at 25.50, unless it's gone down. Let me just see here. For GameStop, 25.12 right now. So obviously we saw a little bit of after hours movement. Yeah, 25.15. Spurious, we'll bring you in just one moment here. Let me just take a very quick look at a little bit of this data here, and then we'll pull him in. Let's see here regarding GameStop.
I'm super excited to see it running, but I did really well on my Tesla calls today. I sold right in the morning. It kept running, so I left some profits on the table. But yeah, I wish I would have been able to get back into roll the rest of that into GameStop. I I was expecting it to go down on Monday and then have the news on Tuesday, but it's all right. I'll still buy in where it's at.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, again, I think we're ready for. There was someone who had, I can't remember who it was earlier this week on X who had posted it, but they would remind me of this Lego image where, like, I'm sure you guys remember where he's drawing on the board and you see all these spikes all the way up. So we're probably going to see a couple more tops here, right, before we actually see the major move. I mean, I don't know. It's anyone's guess really how this is going to play out. Maybe it will just be one giant massive fucking candle going straight up eventually, right? Like but again, it all heavily depends on news, things like that. If a lot of this stuff is wrapped up, because I truly believe that GameStop is going to make a move on Bed Bath & Beyond, right? The shell of the company, the QSIP basically is still in play. They basically have the Knowles as well. So a lot of benefits, right, to essentially launch Teddy here. So I don't know. I do think that we could in fact be seeing something very soon, especially when you consider the stuff going on with HBC as well, that it's supposed to wrap up by the end of this month. Let's take a look at the data real quick, and we're going to bring in Spurious here in just one moment. So off exchange day was 40% here. We also have SIBO here with a 6%. We also have another 4%, takes up about 50% today. Actually, the lower out of the days that we've seen off exchange. So typically we're pushing high 60%. Today, it was actually about 50%. And Max Payne, I think today, Michael, was 24, and we closed above that, which is very interesting as well. So, because we've been closing at that max pain for quite a few months now. Let me see real quick here. I'm assuming the CTBs haven't changed, 0.26%. We also 2.3 million shares available to borrow. Failure to deliver, not a whole lot there either. And we're still waiting on an update on the short report as well. Yeah, I mean, again, probably the lowest that we've seen in quite some time regarding this. And we actually did close above Max Payne. So I don't know. I mean, it's looking pretty goddamn good if you ask me. Let's go ahead and pull in Spurious here this afternoon. Chat, please give a warm welcome to none other than Spurious. All right, Spurious, good to see you, man. Love the t-shirt. How the fuck are we doing on this afternoon? We haven't seen you on the PP show in a while. What's going on, my man?
Yeah, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
It's good to be here. Missed you guys. Been really busy with family stuff and wedding across the country.
Excellent. All right, cool. Well, you have any opinions, man, of what's been kind of going on here? Obviously, we do have a lot to unpack here this afternoon. And I know you wanted to maybe cover some macro type of stuff. But before we dive into that, I mean, what are your thoughts, man? Did you see in the last 24 hours of stuff with the Sultan and some of the other stuff that's been going on regarding some of these dockets and lawsuits and things like that? Where are you kind of at today, Spurious?
The dockets... I'm having a weird issue with my device. I haven't seen the dockets in like a day and a half. Is there one past like 3758 or something? Like the last day or so?
I don't know. I need to check. But more so, it's really been the Maritime stuff. It's been the reclassification of bonds that we've seen as well. But I mean, anything you want to comment on, we're all ears. And then whatever you want to discuss here this afternoon, we're all ears, man.
Thanks. Yeah, the Sultan stuff is fun as fuck. Like, so much teasing, so much. There's like no, usually with like 10 or stuff with significant people that we look at on X or something, usually there's like it's very subtle if they're hinting toward us or about the situation. But with what the Sultan, the two guys have been tweeting, both of them, there's no subtlety at all. There's no other way to interpret it. It's clearly about this. It's clearly about GME, talking about Moon, talking about launch. Like, it's hilarious. It's awesome. It's really hype.
Yeah, it's very, very hype. But please, man, I mean, take the stage, man. Anything that you'd like to discuss this afternoon, man, it's totally up to you. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Real quick. So I think it was Omar or whatever. He was like, "Oh, to the moon, rocket ship," and then Kaizen was like, "Oh, I wish that was about GameStop," and he's like, "Maybe it is."
Yeah.
I mean, they have different rules there, right? Because they can do whatever they want, right? No one's gonna tell them not to stop doing whatever, because like they're kind of pretty influential in the world.
Our crooked regulators can't reach their jurisdiction there.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the whole, the whole banking thing. He's like, well, what are banks gonna do once you can have all your money and do all your transactions on X, right? And I guess Visa just made a deal with X to do all their transactions. So I mean, basically, Elon Musk can just flip the switch on the X payments whenever he wants. So the question is, when is he going to flip that switch? Is he going to do it on April Fool's Day? Is he going to do it on 420? I don't know, but it looks like everything is totally set up for that.
Yeah, and I remember last year Elon had said that the X payment system, they should be, getting approval from the last few states and launching within 2024. And he said that early. He said it like March last year. So like he, I don't think he would have made it up and said 2024 if he knew it was going to take longer. So there was an expectation they would get everything up and running last year. But now that we're here in the next year, I mean, at least it means, like you said, I think he's waiting. They're setting up something. It's probably good to go by now.
There's an old tweet of his as well where he capitalized the X and R and a P in one of his sentences as well. So, yeah. It's like some good fucking tinfoil. I mean, again, I like XRP personally, but I have seen that from Elon Musk as well. So, just to add. But yeah, take it away, man. I mean, what do you have for us? You want to talk about something macro related, whether that be with GameStop, whatever it is. Would love to hear it, Spurious.
It's actually way, way broader than that. I want to talk a little about the Fed and our regulators here in the US, which are very, very corrupt and demonstrably, provably corrupt. Could you play I don't know if it's going to play right on Mari. And could you just play that YouTube clip? It's like 1 minute.
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
So this is a clip of Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, the Federal Reserve. And this was back in 2022, after the second quarter of US GDP numbers came out. And it was 2 quarters in a row of negative GDP for the entire United States. And for decades and decades, I mean, you go back like 100 years, the consensus among most economists around the world is, what is the definition of a recession? It's a print of 2 quarters in a row of a country's GDP negative. So it's a simple definition. And right after that happened, first and second quarter of 2022, reported negative GDP for the US. At the press conference, at the FOMC meeting conference, reporters asked him, do you think we're in a recession?
Here, let me play this one.
Yeah. It's kind of low.
I can get the mutes on.
It's not playing audio?
No.
Super low.
Yeah, I think something's fucked up with it, Spurious. You want to try sharing it on your end? You're also muted.
I was going crazy. Spurious? I can't hear you.
I forgot I was muted. My bad. Yeah, if you can share my screen, maybe it'll work that way.
All right, you should be good. Terry out there with the 5. Available Werewolf has a post that could use some eyes/discussion. Docket 3951, DK Butterfly in 6th Street. DK is the plaintiff. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate the 5. Terry, yes, we'll take a look at that docket in just 1 moment. Once Spurious here concludes with his thoughts. Appreciate it, Terry. Go ahead. Yeah, there's no audio. Oh. Walk us through
That's
it,
okay.
Spurious. Go ahead.
So the very first thing out of his mouth is that I do not think the U.S. is in a recession. even though the definition is 2 quarters of negative GDP, and that's exactly what happened. And then he says, because of this, and he gives a bunch of reasons for why he doesn't think that's happening. And then he ends the conversation with, it doesn't make sense that the economy would be in recession. Let me see. With this kind of thing happening. So could you share my screen again? I'm just highlighting some stuff.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
I wrote an article like, I don't know, a few days ago about this stuff. So he was saying, it doesn't make sense that it would be in a recession with this kind of thing happening. But it literally was. That the numbers speak for themselves. And ever since then, in 2022, early on, I've personally believed, with more and more mounting evidence, that the economy has been slowing down the whole time. And the Federal Reserve and other parts of U.S. agencies have been releasing completely cooked, fraudulent numbers. And a lot of times you can actually see that they're doing it. So what was the truth of what the GDP is doing, or what the U.S. economy is doing, despite rosy sounding numbers in between? The BLS, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, this is what the whole market, BlackRock, the whole market moves based on these numbers coming out every quarter. And they have been releasing payrolls numbers about jobs, about employment numbers across the country. And they've been manipulating them over time a lot. So let's see. They do something called seasonal adjustments, where like they claim in certain parts of the year, there's a huge difference between how consumers spend. And that's true in a lot of times, but the degree to which they're doing it and the reasons they're doing it for are like completely bogus. So you can see, for instance, if you look at the data really close, what they do over time is the real numbers, the real employment numbers have been going down over time for full-time jobs. But then what they do is they do seasonal adjustments to part-time jobs that make them way higher. And sometimes they're almost doubling up. For every full-time job, they're just doubling up the part-time. Mm-hmm. And it's times when like the data makes no sense. It doesn't agree with anything else. So then the headline just reports the part-time job number, which is almost double, but the full-time went down. They use stuff like that, and they do that consistently. That's the BLS. They do other stuff too, like which one is this one? What I'm trying to paint here, what I'm about to get to, is the fact that like the economy has been shaky. It's not been rosy like the Federal Reserve, who prints our money. And by the way, they're a private bank. They're a bank of banks. And
there's a lot of people being fired over at Freddie Mac too. You see that?
Yeah, Fannie and Freddie. Yeah, that's big. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And Pulte got, I think, on the board of each one, right? They have like 4 new directors in each one.
I don't know if he's on Freddie Mac. I know he's on Fannie Mae, but Michael, do you know? No, I think maybe he's only on Fannie Mae. Yeah, he could be on both. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
So here's another example where the other game that they like to play is they will have, the headline numbers get released. CNBC reports the numbers when they first come out about payrolls, and other sources do immediately when those numbers come out. But then a couple of weeks later or a month later, they do revisions of the numbers that they earlier reported. And the revisions are always downward. They're always downward. So this way in history, in retrospect, when someone looks back at what the fuck the economy was supposedly doing, they will see these downward revised numbers. But like most people won't notice or look back or know that it was originally way overreported. That's another of the game they play. Mm-hmm. And this is about inflation stuff. So CPI, Consumer Price Index, and Producer Price Index, they're how we're measuring inflation rate through the country's economy. And this is a hilarious example. So there was a quarter they reported in 2024, they reported 3.1 CPI, 3.1% of inflation rate, which is above their federal mandate of 2.5%. The Fed is supposed to keep the number, keep the inflation rate below that.
Right.
And it's just been above that for years and years and years. And this example is hilarious because Ian Carroll reported on this one. If you look here, and I'm not going to play the video, but just look at these numbers. If you look here, this is when they reported 3.1%. Do you see any numbers of these huge categories that are on average 3%, 3.1 or lower, they're literally way over it. All of them across the board. And then another subcategory, and you can see this like every quarter, like they do this consistently. Look at this. 3.1% was the total headline number. What the fuck is all this? It's over 6% across the board. 4.7, 4.2 at the least. Like, literally, the math makes no sense. They're just cooking the numbers, like, clearly. So it's stuff like that. My point is, don't trust the Fed. They're a private entity. Who do they serve? They're member banks across the country. They don't fucking serve the U.S. They've had a stranglehold over the U.S. since the early 1900s, and I do believe that's changing soon. If they're going to get audited, we'll see what the fuck is in for.
There's a lot happening, over the Fed right now. I mean, you can see it in all aspects, right? Like ever since Trump came in, and there was something specifically too that I wanted to share as well, since we're actually on this topic here. I'll pull this up real quick, and if you don't mind, actually, maybe. Oh, that's funny. I'm actually sharing something, but I think slightly different from Kristen. Because you already have that up.
800,000 or something?
No, it's the SEC stuff here that apparently there's a big shakeup at the SEC right now. It says that shakeup at the SEC, there's hundreds of staff at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, including senior employees and enforcement lawyers, are snapping up resignation buyouts as President Donald Trump government overhaul shakes up Wall Street's top watchdog. That is very interesting, might I add. I mean, obviously, we've kind of seen this, and maybe this could be, in fact, the reason, we were discussing it earlier this week, Michael and I, about how Paul Atkins is coming over at the SEC, and they've delayed this for a multitude of weeks now, right? All the way to the 27th, I think, is when he's finally going to basically come into the SEC or get voted for it. Obviously, he's going to win when it comes to Paul Atkins, but it is very interesting, like the timing of all of this stuff, right? Not just kind of what you're describing as well, but also there being massive kind of shakeups going around as well. I'll go ahead and share your screen now again. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so there was a famous one that happened in March last year where 818,000 people, they revised the number, the Fed revised the number later about payrolls, and it was almost 1 million fewer. And there was actually, this was a big enough change that there was a big hullabaloo about it, and the market reacted really confused, not well. And here's an example where the Fed fucking admits in its own words, in its own internal reports, and some released publicly, what it actually does. So the Fed takes data from the BLS, which we just saw is cooking the numbers anyway. And here's what they do. Our estimates incorporate more comprehensive, accurate job estimates released by the BLS as part of its quarterly census of employment and wages program to augment the sample data from the BLS. So what they're doing is they're just adjusting all the shit on their end too. It's insane. Mm-hmm. And they do this all the time. And this is a report back from 2022. So they've been doing that at least as far back as that. And you can see even further. And where I'm getting to here is that there's a trend. This country has been on an unsustainable path. And, there's talk now recently about Trump and Doge are going to bring about a recession. And my point is, if you look at the numbers that have been released and the revisions and the seasonal adjustments and the cooking with the part-time and full-time numbers, we have been lied to for years about what the economy is actually doing. From the Fed, who prints our money, mm-hmm. and from our own government agencies that are supposed to report for ourselves accurately, like for our own best interest as a country. In my opinion, the economy has been slowing for years. So when a recession comes along that's suddenly overt and admitted to publicly, it's not just because of what Doge is doing here. It's been on this track for a long, long time. And here's a fun thing that if anyone wants to look at the article later, you'll see this fun graphic of the size of different asset classes, like in the different markets around the world. And if you go to the bottom of this image, I'm not going to show the entire thing because it's crazy, but let's see if I can
open new tab. You might be able to zoom in.
Yeah, so this is very long, right? Just look at this relative sizes of the shapes. We have some real estate stuff down here. We have stocks. we have bonds, and then look at the bottom. See that giant?
What is that?
That's the derivatives market.
Holy fucking shit, man.
That's what blew everything up in 08.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what's shaping up to do the same thing now.
Wow.
So this is insane. It's a casino. They gamble in this. And we bailed them out as a country back in 08. And we've been bailing them out actually even since then, because since then, the Fed has printed trillions and trillions of dollars directly to feed the mega banks. Where did I put it? Yeah. So look at this. Talk about inflation rate, right? When did the inflation start ramping way up in this country? It started around 2020, started around COVID, something like that, right? You know what they did before COVID? Before COVID, in earlier 2020, they printed $6 trillion, more than that, to send to the top banks that are gambling in these derivatives markets. JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, and then others like Nomura, I'm forgetting, Nora Chunkin. So the total that was printed in COVID was like, it was like 4 trillion of stimulus and stuff sending out to US citizens. And like, you know, some people, some pundits, some people in the news are claiming, oh, all the problems are from the 4 trillion of pandemic stimulus. Look, it's not just that. They printed more right to the banks. And no US citizens got that. And the US economy didn't get that money. That's what's happening. That's where this shit is coming from. So when we talk about inflation rate and we talk about a recession, look at what this is where it's coming from. And pandemic was a convenient help in a way to hide what they just did, printing it, because then they did stimulus and other stuff for the economy.
Right.
Just a little bit convenient there.
Yeah.
And now, so yeah, you know, my point is just that it brings us to this point where Doge is now doing immense cost cutting, and they're just wiping out like fraudulent, completely fraudulent and extreme things that the government has been spending on a monthly basis, yearly basis, that most Americans would not prefer their tax dollars to go to, let alone the actual clearly NGO fraud ones. And then this is the last visual I think here I wanted to show. This is the interest, just the interest that the USA has been paying on its debt as a country. We're at what, like $36 trillion in debt now? Something like that. Look at this. It's almost a parabola going up. This is unsustainable. If we remained on this path with all that spending that Doge is now looking into for the first time ever, basically government spending getting audited for the first time ever here, and having public accountability, this country would literally go bankrupt. It's as simple as that. So when there's a debate about, oh, Doge is not what it's doing, oh, it's not right, we would literally be destroyed as a country if we changed nothing. Right. So something drastic had to be done. And yeah, I wrote more stuff, but cool. Basically, so I mean, Doge is, yeah, sorry, just the last thing.
Yep.
So Doge, its effect on what's going on in the country will be cutting off some of this government spending, this wasteful spending. Some of that does filter right back through the US economy. And so the effect of Doge, of what it's doing, will be a recessionary influence. But my point is, the amount of recessionary influence from all kinds of other sources for years, country printing QE since 08 crisis, like nonstop over a decade, that's what did most of it. And this is the point we're at now, where something really drastic has to be done.
And I just want to add too, in an excellent presentation, I just want to add as well, like regarding obviously some of the stuff that you were saying there, is that, you know, people tend to forget with Volkswagen, right? Volkswagen, there was a complete market crash at the time, and we saw obviously it squeeze, and that's been kind of the speculation right now. I don't know if you're leaning more towards like, look, you know, this economy is possibly going to crash temporarily at one point, and then we actually see kind of MOAS, you know, take place regarding GameStop and some of these other stocks that we believe are coming together under one umbrella. Just out of curiosity, where you stand there, and then you're more than welcome to sit in with us, because we need to get through some DD here tonight. So if you want to sit in as well, you're more than welcome to add to the discussions too this evening. Spurious, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, actually, what you just said there, I have just a couple little tidbits about that. So I didn't, in my article and this stuff I just presented, I didn't get into the, stock market. I didn't get into what I believe will happen there. But something really interesting to note, Scott Bessent, now the U.S. Treasury Secretary, in Trump's new admin, he said something very interesting like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He talked about how people were asking if he thought a recession was coming, if they're preparing, what they would do about it. And he said, it's impossible to predict if it will happen. However, he said that with all the drastic changes that are happening in the government spending, in the structure, shutting down some of these useless hundreds of agencies, like over 400 government agencies. How many can anyone even count on their hand? Like 10, maybe at most. So as a result of cutting some of this stuff, he said there is likely to be a transition period. And he also said there's likely to be a detox period. And what I think he was hinting at there is, it's also a deflationary force, by the way, all the stuff that's happening. So in the long run, it's going to help the inflation rate go down. But he did mention a detox period, which I believe is him carefully, gently hinting we may be in for some bumps along the road in the economy as a whole temporarily. And he also said at another point that the administration is aware of these forces, of these effects, of the domino, roll-on effects, and that they would prefer what they're going to try and do is make these big changes now, early in the term, and then later, that way, there will be a detox period in the term, and along the 4-year course of the term, the administration will be able to focus on recovery and compounding useful benefits for the economy. So by the end of the 4-year term, they really believe that they will be fruitful, these efforts. And then what was the other thing? I think about the market. So here's something useful that was interesting Trump said about it. If you look at Trump's first term, and if you look at him even before he became president in his first term, he has said numerous times, many times, he's famous for it, about how he watches the stock market and how he thinks the stock market is an actual indicator, a barometer, a measuring tool for the health of the US economy. He has said that in the past. What has he been saying the last few weeks since his term started again here? Nothing. Nothing about the stock market. And when a few people questioned him about what's going on in the market, and recently, last 2-3 weeks, there's been some shaky bumps, downturn in the market, right? When they ask him what he thinks about it, he says, I don't even look at the market. I don't even know what it's doing. It's not even entering my mind. I don't know what it's doing. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Mm-hmm. That's very, very opposite of what he said before. And he said a couple other things about the market. He said something vaguely about that, it's the globalists. Oh, it's fake. The market's fake. What the market's doing anyway is fake. And he talked about that, the reason it's going down is largely due to manipulation. He has said that before. What I think he's hinted at is right now, what his administration is doing, right now, for the time being, he doesn't care about the market. He's not looking at it because what he believes needs to be done for the long run, for major benefit overall, more benefit, is this stuff: the cost cutting, get us on a sustainable path with the country's debt. And there's probably going to be some bumps along the road.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we've already seen that, right? I mean, it kind of has been like that ever since the tariffs, stuff like that, a lot of stuff going on with Canada and US. But no, I agree. I think that maybe something could happen, right? And a lot of people do believe that we could see some kind of crash here, right? Especially with a lot of things surrounding interest rates too, as well, things like that. But we do have a lot of stuff here to discuss. Do you want to sit in for a little bit here with us, Spurious? Yeah, sure. Take a look at a couple things. All right, excellent. Might I add? I mean, excellent analysis. I mean, you're right. People tend to overlook a lot of the macro, right, of what's going on here with all these companies, and you see the same thing with the Magnificent Seven, these companies kind of being propping up the economy right now, Tesla, Microsoft, things like that. So I mean, what Spurious is saying is some very true stuff. Let's take a look real quick if we can take our attention here. There was some interesting stuff that happened this afternoon regarding our favorite stock, man, Bed Bath & Beyond. Let's take a look real quick at this. if we can. It does have to do with the Maritime lawsuit right now. It does look like this is from Available Werewolf. It says DK Butterfly versus MSC Mediterranean Shipping Co. Motion to approve the settlement officially granted today. So we are getting paid, man. Well, I mean, hold on. The company, all right, the estate is getting paid. All right. So I don't know what the monetary value was. Someone said that it's redacted. If you actually look through it, you can go to Available Werewolves and you can actually go here to this PDF here. It is redacted essentially in here, if I'm not mistaken. It was served today on the 21st. Initial decision approving settlement agreement. So I don't think we have the information yet, or it has not been officially released. I don't know if it will be. That's the thing. Nobody really knows how much exactly they'll be paying out. I think the monetary value was around 300 million, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, there are some things that I think are either going under seal or being redacted out of this. So if anybody wants to correct me if I'm wrong regarding this lawsuit here. So that's the Maritime one right now. It has been officially granted as of today. Any opinions kind of on this Maritime one? I think used to hang around here. I think Hachi, whenever he'd come on the show, would really focus on the Maritime one here. Do you have any opinions on this, Spurious? There's been a lot of claims, things like that kind of coming out. Would love to hear it, or Michael as well.
I haven't seen this specific one that just came out today. I've been busy, but it is big. When this goes forward, when I forget the technical word for it, but basically when there's a settlement, when there's a payment that's going to be forthcoming from MSC back to the company estate, that's going to be big. I mean, I remember just a few months ago, the numbers we were seeing in some dockets coming out. Class 6 is practically all paid off now. Like they're going to be easily more than paid off, in full, the 100% that they're capped to.
Well, we don't know
this
that
MSC,
yet. They can only get paid up to 100% bondholders.
Yeah. And then the rest trickles down toward us, class 9. So I'm just saying, so I'll speculate that I'm very confident that, this MSC settlement is going to go a long way to finish up paying class 6 and then come down to class 9 us. And then we have unlimited recovery.
Right. I mean, they're about to take off so I think the Coggins claim was denied. So I think that's 500 million right there. You also have another kind of small ones. There was like one person, someone had posted, I think it was Nobles maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Nobles had posted about it. There was like a woman who had filed a claim for like $15 million. It was like a fraudulent claim. So that's probably going to be thrown out too. And then there was also this one, which is 300 million. So that's like nearly, 815 million right there, right? Like right off the bat that they're going to be able to wipe it in terms of like some of this debt here. And regarding some of these claims. So it is looking pretty good. I mean, the reclassification of the bonds, obviously the cram down when it comes to the gift cards, things like that. It is very bullish that they are in fact going to get some monetary value here. And nobody, again, it could be smaller, it could be higher. I don't think there is a number regarding this document as of yet. So that is still up to, I think, be announced or something sometime soon. If it isn't,
I think originally it was over 400 million, which is more than enough to take care of all the administrative priority claims. So that just leaves the bonds, but I think there is the bond exchange. So I don't know. Either they're directly able to be converted or in another way. So either way, I mean, I think it's enough to get the ball rolling for the waterfall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it looks pretty promising regarding this Maritime stuff. So that's just your update regarding Maritime. Let me take a very quick look here. There was a Jake post actually that I wanted to read here as well. It looks like Jake has returned momentarily. It doesn't look like he's talking about Bed Bath & Beyond. He is focused on GameStop right now. So let's take a look at what's going on regarding Jake 2B here real quick. We do have someone backstage here, Twidge. He does want to show some TA out here in a little bit. He says he believes that there is a pattern with 147, I believe. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, let's take a look here at Jake 2B. So Jake 2B says, there are so many reasons why I am excited to be a GME investor, but specifically, I want to share two that have been on my mind recently. First, if we look back through the financial filings for GameStop in 2024, the 10K in March had RC in the role of principal executive officer. The two following reporting quarters, however, had general manager Mark Robinson signing off as a PEO. Now, I will say someone did mention PEO to me. I can't remember who you were out on X, but someone had mentioned PP. Take a look into the PEO stuff. The PEO stuff, it's actually very interesting. Berkshire does the same type of thing. So typically you have Berkshire at the top, and then you have directors who run some of these subsidiaries, and they're called PEOs. So I do find that very interesting as well. On October 25th, the company amends their previous two financials to put RC as as the signatory. However, in the middle of all of this, RC does sign the Form S3 on May 17th as the principal executive officer. I believe that this is no accident, and I pose it that it relates to the investment policy. He goes on to say, more specifically, signing financial disclosures of the PEO comes with heightened legal obligations under Sarbanes-Oxley Act. In Section 302, for example, the signatory is personally certifying the financials. What is really exciting is that Sarbanes-Oxley also requires the disclosure of all material off-balance sheet items. But what if RC was not ready to disclose what the investment policy was intending to invest in? Then he would not want to be a signatory of the 10Q. However, if Mr. Robinson is not a member of the oversight committee of the investment policy, he may have no knowledge and can safely sign. It goes on to say the one piece that doesn't fit the puzzle yet is that RC is resumed as the signatory for the company's December 10Q. Interestingly, however, throughout the entire period, we were discussing the company does not report to own marketable securities on their balance sheet or investments with a minimum maturity date of 3 months. Why not collect interest on such a large pile of cash unless it may be needed on short notice? Fun to think about and exciting ahead of next week's earnings report. It goes on to say, secondly, I am excited as ever about GME offering blockchain-based digital assets, whether it be tokenization of their common stock or other future issuance. With this topic becoming increasingly in the forefront, along with what appears to be a friendlier regulatory environment around crypto, and in general, and most importantly, a framework being launched that is regulatory approved and can be deployed at scale. It feels like we are headed in two different financial markets: the traditional one where institutional support is the driver, and decentralized one where the community support is the driver. Where when those two worlds meet in the same asset, there will be fireworks. That was a Larry Chang quote, by the way. I've been excited about it for a while and write more about it in the quoted post below. So this is some older DD that we did read here back on October 3rd. So I don't know. I do find it very interesting. I think the most interesting thing out of all of this is the PEO stuff that he's mentioning here. Again, if you look to Berkshire Hathaway, and we're about to take a look at actually the investor relations website, you'll see some resemblances here. With Berkshire Hathaway, they use these PEOs as part of their directors for their subsidiaries, right? I think that we've had it slightly wrong this entire time, right? For the longest time, we believe that Teddy's going to be at the top and essentially have GameStop, under one of these subsidiaries, which still could very well be a possibility, right? But considering we just saw this change when it comes to the GameStop investor relation website, and now it looks more like Berkshire Hathaway, I think it's safe to say that maybe, just possibly, you could have a scenario here where GameStop is at the top, and then you have the other subsidiaries right under it. Most likely Teddy, which will in fact be basically Bed Bath & Beyond, which is our stock. And we could in fact receive a 1-to-1 share ratio, right? In terms of like what we'll get in terms of our Bobby to GameStop. Nobody really knows what the conversion rate could be, especially when you kind of start to factor in some of these bonds too. Possibility for Rico cash as well. So the returns could be a lot higher, right, than just like a 1-to-1 kind of share issuance here. Now, one thing that I find very interesting as well, going back to GameStop basically being like a Berkshire Hathaway, is it kind of makes sense as well with Sultan kind of making these comments lately. Like, what about the next Berkshire Hathaway, the next generation Berkshire Berkshire Hathaway, and he says it's going to be a $1 trillion company. And then you actually see the change regarding the website. And there is a little bit of tinfoil too. Someone had pointed this out too. I can't remember who it was. It's slipping my mind, but I do have their post here where Sultan and Ryan Cohen reposted it immediately, seconds from each other when they shared this. So it is very, very interesting what's going on here, but I'm not ruling out entirely that of course GameStop could in fact be, the holding company itself. There's been a lot of speculation as well that GameStop will make an acquisition, obviously on our target company, which is BBBYQ. So I don't know. I think that it is kind of all there, especially when you factor in the tokenization of shares too. Let's take a look here at obviously that website, which I do want to take a look at because the resemblance is very, very interesting here. Where is it on here? Give me 1 second here, fellas. My apologies. Here it is right here. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the resemblance is pretty fucking wild here. This is from Available Where. This is the Berkshire Hathaway website right here that you're looking at. All right. It's very basic. You have the news releases, things like that. You do have Geico listed down here. Message from Warren Buffett, their CEO, annual interim reports. It's very clean, right? Website, all that.
It hasn't changed in like 20 years.
No, it's always been the same. And this is the new investor website for GameStop. I mean, I don't know. I think that it is a very real possibility that they are in fact the holding company, right? I mean, the fact is also, if you actually look at the timing of everything, so many people, and I even made a post about it earlier this week, so many people were mad when there was like, GameStop diluted and shareholders were pissed off, and not all shareholders, maybe some option traders, kind of were upset by it, sure, because they lost money. But if you're holding long, I mean, who gives a shit? The stock is basically like 2x higher than what it was in April, right? Before they even did these rounds of dilution. But the fact is that the company itself, it's very clear that they are turning into a holding company. They have $5 billion in cash. They're obviously going under some kind of transition here. The biggest question will be obviously, how that will impact us in our stock as well. It makes sense for Teddy, a private company, to basically reverse merge into the shell of Bed Bath & Beyond and go public. I mean, that's the easiest and fastest, most efficient, cost-effective way that you could kind of have a scenario like this. You also have that DK Butterflies broken up into like 38 different companies as well, which is very interesting. So I do think it's a lot bigger than what we're kind of realizing here. And especially when you throw into the mix a lot of this like money that could be interjected from Qatar as well, right? Like big investors out there. I don't know exactly what the net worth of Sultan Almaadeed is. I think it's like a couple billion, just him alone. I don't really know like what his entire family is worth or things like that. So that is something to consider as well in terms of how much liquidity could in fact be injected. Or someone had told me even possibly that the family could possibly own something like trillions of dollars. I have absolutely no idea. Go ahead, Michael.
I mean, I think it's that he has access to the sovereign wealth funds, so it's like that's where he could buy all of GameStop if he wanted to. I mean, that, and then you see who he's friends with, right? He's friends with like the king, of the UAE or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's like they have access to basically unlimited money is, the situation.
Wow.
And just today, speaking of the UAE, just today, the UAE committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment framework in the U.S. after meeting with President Trump. So that could be anything. We'll see what that 1.4 trillion goes toward. But the fact that that those two,
they said it was energy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I don't know more details yet. I didn't read into it.
So it is for AI infrastructure, semiconductors, energy, and manufacturing is what that money's going to go towards.
Well, that's important.
Which is a lot of money, like, right? Like to come into the United States. But I mean, again, I think that it's very exciting kind of seeing what's happening here. And we're about to get into some of those tweets as well from Sultan. But just to go back on kind of what this looks like, it is highly, highly interesting, right? Kind of analyzing this company as a whole. I mean, analyzing that look, it's very clear, like the connection here, what he's kind of making. And remember when Ryan Cohen was also like a chick on X for a long time too? We kind of assumed that maybe it has to do with Bye Bye Baby, or a baby's coming, things like that. And it was kind of, maybe he was hinting at like some kind of like transformation, some kind of like transition, right? Which I think is more likely that he was kind of alluding to a transition. So I like it. I think that there is a lot coming regarding our stock, regarding GameStop, regarding a lot of these other stocks as well. The fact that Paul Atkins as well is going to be coming onto the SEC is very, very bullish for IEP. Things happening with XRP. There's leaking news apparently as well. There's leaked news that apparently they're going to be partnering up with Swift or overtaking them. It is highly, highly interesting with what's going on here. It looks like we just lost Michael.
I think
yeah, go ahead.
Just like a last thing about this comparison here. If you look at GME's previous investor relations site, when you go to GameStop.com and you go to the very bottom to the site map and you go to their investor relations, and remember they had like pictures in the background of Crash Bandicoot. They had the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you go to like the SEC filings page, my point is their previous investor relations site was very modern, very slick. It featured gaming artwork. It was very flashy. It was cool. Okay,
you're saying like their old investor with the Crash Bandicoot?
It was consistent with like their brand and what the company features as products. Dealing in the video game industry, and then they switched to this, and it's no pictures, no flash, nothing modern. I mean, basically as plain and boring as possible. And it looks so much formatted,
right?
Like Berkshire Hathaway's. What I'm saying is, it's clearly a conscious decision that the company made to do nothing modern and go toward this very kind of boring but serious template. And comparing those two, I think, is it's right to do. It's very clear. There's something very similar they're trying to point out.
I think he's trying to he's trying to make it as obvious as he can that this is going to be the next Berkshire. I mean, the fact is also, he says a lot of times too, he talks about Warren Buffett a lot, right? It's like within his tweets, Warren icon by day, or I can't remember the it's somewhere on here actually.
Buffett by day, icon by night.
Yeah, something like that. So obviously, he has alluded to Warren Buffett a multitude of times, thumb wars, things like that. So I do think that it's safe to say that GameStop is probably at the top, right? And then you have the rest of our entities kind of like as a subsidiary operating under it. And it would kind of make sense here, right? My biggest question is that how it's going to play out when DK Butterfly is like 38 entities, right? Maybe every single one of these entities are in fact going to go under this umbrella company, right? I think it could be very, very big if you ask me. Let me take a very quick look here. There was something else actually regarding this as well, which I want to take a look at. Yeah, Sal had posted about this. So this is another interesting kind of tidbit from Sal. He says, oh boy, and it says, pending major announcement, a stripped down site might signal a transitional phase, such as a merger, acquisition, restructuring, or even delisting from the stock exchange. Companies sometimes reduce public-facing content to avoid speculation or conflicting information while finalizing big moves. And obviously you saw Sultan, right? And come in the other day kind of really hyping everything up, right, to like max. So I think the deal is done. I think that something is very, very soon going to be announced here. I don't think we're going to be waiting another 3 to 6 months for something. I mean, personally, with HBC and all of these like moving factors, Maritime is now like officially they're going to get paid out. So, to this like shipping company. So I do think that it is kind of wrapping up here. Hank E out there with the 5 PP Show gift memberships. Appreciate your support, Hank. Again, if you got a membership out there, fellas, be sure to give thanks in the chat. We also got Crayon Green out there with the 5 PP Show gift memberships. Appreciate your support, Crayon Green. Again, Again, if you got a membership, fellas, be sure to give a thanks in the chat. It's the least you can do. We got Slobo out there with the 10. Video game controller evolves into a muscled version of itself under the world level up. All right, right on. Appreciate the tip. Yeah, I do think that something could in fact be happening. Cactus says spill the beans. Yes, we'll take a look at that tweet as well. I do want to take a look at that too. All right, give me just 1 second here. But yeah, I think that even Sal is kind of he's kind of pointing out too what the possibilities could be there regarding that. This was the person I was talking about. It's Agent out there on X. Let me pull this up for everybody here. This is what I was referring to in terms of the tweets coming within seconds of each other. All right. GameStop updates their investor relations website. Ryan Cohen reposts it immediately. Sultan also posts it immediately. Now, some people may think, maybe these two things are not correlated. Maybe there's a possibility, excuse me, maybe they aren't correlated, right? But I don't know. The fact is that, Sultan is kind of alluding a lot to GameStop here. Omar as well out there, which we'll take a look at some of their posts. But I don't know. They were pictured together. It's not like this is some random person here. These two individuals, Sultan and also Ryan Cohen, were pictured together. We do know that Ryan Cohen also was meeting with Michael Saylor. So it's not that crazy to think that tokenization most likely is next. We also know that Marcus Lemones, I think, had mentioned that he's not doing any more Spaces calls until everything is finalized with the tokenization of Baby. Well, sure enough, he has a space call planned for the 24th of March as right now. So it is very interesting as well. The 24th of March, he has a space call set.
Just curious, do you know around when he had made that statement?
He made that statement on the 28th of February, I believe. Maybe it was the 26th. It was end of February. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So he said no more Spaces calls until the finalization of the Baby tokenization. And then sure enough, it's a day before the GME earnings as well, which I do find very interesting too.
Yeah.
Hazel says, PPs, our day is finally coming. Degens unite. Yes, it is. People are getting paid, baby. All right, let's take a look real quick here. So that was from Agent regarding some of that too. Do have a little bit of tinfoil I do want to take a look at as well. I know Twitch is here backstage, so we will bring in Twitch here in just one moment. Appreciate you remaining patient back there. Okay, give me just 1 second. Oh yeah, okay. There was a couple other things docket related that I just need to take a quick look at here. Mr. Knowles had actually posted this. I know some of you guys are blocked by Mr. Knowles out there. But this is a small update regarding a docket here. This one is 3958 certification of no objection regarding plan admin's third motion for entry of an order extending the period to object to claims. So they want to extend the period so they can get rid of as many claims as possible. It looks like, is there a date here? To be filed no later than March 18, 2025, which is already... Wait, is that right? This is dated. Let me pull this up. This is dated as of today, but it says that they can't. It basically is the undersigned certifies that as of the no answer, objection, or other responsive pleading has been received on the plan admin's third motion for the entry of an order extending the period to object to claims, docket number 3928, filed on March 4th, 2025. Undersigned further certifies that the court docket has been reviewed in this case and no answer, objection, or other responsive pleading to the motion appears thereon. Pursuant to the notice of the hearing on plan admin's third motion for entry of an order, extending the period to object to claims, docket 3929. Objections to the motions were to be filed and served no later than March 18th. So that is just an update there regarding some of these claims as well. Something to keep in mind too. All right. let's go ahead and bring in Twidge real quick. There is a little bit more that we need to cover. We are going to cover a little bit about who this Sultan character is. There were some comments here about 84 years. There's a lot of bullish comments regarding next Berkshire Hathaway. And then obviously there's some Apollo connections as well, that someone had posted a screenshot that Pulte had wrote. He said, please screenshot this tweet. And we're going to take a look at that tweet as well. A couple other things regarding Trump and crypto as well. So let's go ahead and bring in Twidge here real quick. Chat, please give a warm welcome to Twidge. All right, Twidge, what's going on, man? You're on the BBBY. Let's hear it. What do you have for us this afternoon?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear my microphone?
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, awesome. PP, I saw earlier you used the chart exchange to look at the graph of GME. Is it possible for you to pull that up again?
Yes. Are you able to share screen, or are you like on a phone or what?
No, my laptop's not very good, actually. I mean, I can probably share it, but I haven't used Restream before. So
okay. Let me see if I can get it up for you here in terms of the chart.
And then Spurious, I said in the chat, it'd be cool if you guys could pull up different utilities so I could walk you through it. Is there a chat tool that you use by chance, like DeepSeek or ChatGPT?
To just put a query in.
Just ask it questions as I explain something to confirm what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Chart exchange.
Yeah, and then go and pull up GameStop on the monthly.
Sure.
And then scroll out to where you can see the entire history. Oh, geez.
Hold on.
Yeah, go and zoom in on that guy. I think you can click the middle button in that, and it'll
there we go.
Oh, it did not work very well. Okay, yeah, going back to the very beginning. Go back, no, not to January. Go all the way back to December of 2007. All the way back. Like scroll.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so you see these spikes right
Yeah.
here. I found it really interesting with the 741 and the 147 theories and how there's like 3 spikes here as well. And so if you look at the peak green month on the first spike, can you tell me what month and year that is?
The first peak right here.
I mean, I know what it is. Yeah, exactly. What month and year is that?
So that looks like it's 2007. It looks like it's December.
Okay, perfect. Now go to the next peak. The last green month before, what month and year is that?
That one is 2013. That's October.
Perfect. Spurious in ChatGPT, can you ask, or whatever
tool,
can
I use Grok? I haven't used Chat.
Any of them.
Yeah,
Sure. Grok is fine.
Okay.
I'm sure they're all going to give the same answer. But how many months from December 2007 to October 2013?
How many months from, what was it?
December 2007 to October 2013.
Wow, it's
what is
giving
it?
a really long breakdown.
Oh, are you doing deep
70 months.
I know,
70.
Perfect. Now, can you ask it how many months from January 2021 to May of 2024?
Yeah. 1 sec. From, what was it? January
2021 to May of 2024.
$41.
All right, perfect. Now, go to the second spike there, PP, and look at the last green month before it starts to collapse.
This one?
The October 2013 to the next spike. What's the last green month before it starts to clap on the next spike after
like
that?
you're talking about like right here?
Yeah.
I think it's right here. Maybe that's the last green one right there.
If I remember right, it should be around like July.
Yeah, that's
and then
going
there's
to
a
be
second
July
spike.
15th. Or sorry, July
Perfect. Okay,
2015.
can you ask? Perfect. Spurious, can you ask how long from October 2013 to July of 2015?
October, what was it? October 2014?
13
To what?
to July of 2015.
$22.
22, not 21.
October 2013 to July 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, 22. It's saying.
Okay. Well,
No, maybe. Well,
when
no, actually, I have it wrong because actually the true top for that second one is actually November, not October. So maybe that's where it is.
Well, no worries. And I'll be honest, when I used both ChatGPT and DeepSeek, it gave me 21 months. I didn't manually count it. But what I'm trying to point out here is that in December 2017 to October 2015, there was 70 months, right? With factors 7 and 10. And then from January, the end of January to the beginning of May, that's 40 months. I know it says 41 months, but we're counting the whole month of January and the whole month of May, right? But when really the spike was the end of January and the beginning of May. So it's about 40 months. So there's 70 and then 40. And then when you do the second spike after December 2007 to the second spike from October 2013 to July 2015, that's about 21 months, which is a factor of 7 and 3. When the first spike is a factor of 7 and 10. And now the January to May spike was a factor of 4 and 10. Now I'm speculating that our next spike is going to be factors 4 and 3, which puts it at the beginning of May of this year for another spike. The 741 theory, from what I've been digging into with this, it looks like we're having total fractals of 7 months, 4 months, 1 month. And then the next one's going to be the one we're currently in is, 7. I'm sorry, this is my first time public speaking on something like this.
No, it's okay. Take your time. It's all good.
Sorry to to explain better. The 741 theory, I think, is just a time fractal that's happening, and that from December to 2007 to January 2021 was a 7-part of a fractal, and then in January of 2021 to what I think is going to be the end of this August is going to be the 4-part of a fractal. And that within each of these fractals, we have a 7, 4, and 1 part time frame as well. January 21 to May of 24 was 40 months. And then I think that 12 months after that is going to be another spike, which puts it at May of this year. And then the last fractal part ends in the end of August, which would put it of this year, which would put it the last leg of the 4 fractal. And that's when I actually speculate that the Bed Bath & Beyond merger is going to happen at the end of this one fractal. And that's when things are really going to get juicy with, that announcement causing another January 2021 spike. And then I think the fractal end up reversing after this 4 completes itself. Another thing that kind of drove me nuts.
So you're saying this would line up for May? I actually like that. I mean, there's actually a lot of, there's a little bit of tinfoil going into actually May, but please.
There's also
what I noticed.
There's also big swaps rollover in May. Like, there's always big exposure in May. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Really quick, the first spike and the second spike back in 2007 and 2015, it's going to be 70 months and 21 months, right? If you divide those out, it equals exactly 3.3 repeating. And so I thought that was interesting because Butt Farm has always had this 3.3 repeating theory about there being events happening. And so I don't know. If you do the days from January 28th to I think it was May 12th when Roaring Kitty tweeted the chair sitting up, it's like exactly 1,200 days. And I thought that was really suspicious because, 741 is a total 12 increment, 7 plus 4 plus 1, right? And so the fact that it was 1,200 with something that's looking at 12 parts in this algorithm, I thought that was too suspicious to not be coincidental. And another thing that's looking weird is that, let's say we use January 28th, 2021 as an anchor point. If you go to any spike that happens towards the future of that and count the days back to January 28th, 2021, and then divide it by the 3.3 repeating, you end up getting another spike on this fractal. So to give an example, I'm looking at, PP, can you do a daily sort really quick?
Yes.
And zoom in on November of 23?
You want a daily
November 28th of 2023. Clicking the middle one should
which day?
Over if you could find November 28th, 2023. Right
November
there. Yep.
28th. Yeah. This
should be right down the green
candle.
Spike. Yeah. That is where we are at right now with the math that I'm doing. So if that makes sense. So one thing that surprised me this week, though, is that I thought most of the week it was supposed to bleed down, but it didn't. And I only can think that that was to soften the spike that was to happen today into Saturday. But if you, so November 28th to January 28th, Spurious, can you ask that into Grok and see how many days? See how many days it gives you?
Also, this
January
guy
20th.
Infinite in the X chat here, very good stuff, Infinite. He says, director's motion to dismiss was pushed out also from April 17th to May 12th. No dates, but May 12th, which is very interesting that you say that as well.
Well, here's the thing. If you do the 1,200 days times 3/10, it equals 360 days. So 360 days from Kitty's chair tweet is May 12th. Or excuse me.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
right. It is.
And so,
holy shit, man! Wow, good stuff. I like it.
I'm sorry, I'm like not explaining this.
No. You are. You're doing the best you can. But I'm
Spurious, did you ask how many days?
What was the dates between again?
January 28th, 2021 to November 28th, 2020.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab something to drink.
Okay. Jeez, it gives such a long form.
If you ask it not to show math, it typically doesn't.
338, is that right? Jeez.
Did you use 2023 or 2021?
Hang on, I used 2021. Hang on, it's 1,032.
So January 20. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, if I'm right. Now take that number times 3/10.
3/10, like.
Yeah, because
like
the
30%
time
of
frame
that?
reduction.
Or what do you mean?
Kind of 3.3, because the time reduction.
Oh, multiply it by
the
3
fractals is 10/3. Multiply it by 10.
Okay.
Or excuse me, multiply by 3. Multiply by 3 and then divide it by 10.
And then divide it by 10. Okay. Not the three
How many
repeating.
days?
Divide by 10. So that
Yep,
would be
3.3 repeating.
Oh, I need to do the whole. Okay, one second. Times 3.3 repeating, and then divide by 10.
Divided by it would be.
That'd be 343 and some change.
Okay, now do May 14th, which was our last spike, and then ask it what date is 343 days after.
What date is 343 days after? What was it? After
May 14th, 2024.
I don't know. It's looking good.
It gives.
Does it give you November 28th or March 20th?
April 21st this year. 343 days after May 14th last year, right?
Let me pull up a calculator because something's not right there. It ends up being March 20th.
Okay.
And what happened on March 20th? Was there any significant thing?
Well, that was yesterday, right? So this spike that's lining up right now started yesterday into today. But
and also we got that big like after hours run too. I don't think it shows up on here, but
yeah, that actually pissed me off because I thought it was going to happen during hours and I had calls. Okay, can you guys see me?
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, what's up, man?
Okay, how do I share? Hey, how do I share my screen?
There's a computer button at the bottom that looks like an arrow pointing up, and you click that, and then you can share what's in your like Chrome tab, typically.
Okay, perfect. Chat GPT.
There are definitely fractals in the charts and GME and some of the other manipulated tickers when you look at different time frames. It's like spooky. It's algos, clearly.
Can I share your screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see what's happening?
Yeah.
Come on, Chat GPT. Sorry, I don't have Twitter. So.
No, that's okay.
Wow, it's insane.
He's cooking, fellas. There might be some good stuff here. All right, he's cooking.
Well, I thought that the spike that happened on November 28th and 29th was actually going to happen yesterday and today, and so I was off by like 18 hours and lost some money in calls.
Right.
But I think what's happening is that they soften everything. Chat GPT is.
They do what they can to, yeah.
I don't know why.
I just saw a statistic today or yesterday that like.
What about Excel?
It was yesterday.
Can I? Yeah, we'll try Excel really quick. So 11, 28, 2023. Is my screen no longer sharing?
No, you have to reshare it again.
Okay, one moment. It shouldn't take me but a minute. Reformat.
And I think also these patterns too, like when you talk about these patterns too, like I can't help but think they also have to do with like also swap cycles too, right? Something
Yes.
that we could have been seeing going on with this stock for quite a long time, right? So
Definitely.
yeah, I just want to add that as well. I mean, maybe there
Okay.
could in fact be something behind numbers.
That's
stuff
why
like that.
usually there's something that happens in May. There's quarterly rollovers where they're extra exposed while they
Okay,
roll over.
I just submitted it for streaming. Can you see
Yeah,
it?
it's up here for everybody.
All right, perfect. So if we do this plus this, see, so this is what I've done right now. From January 28th to November 28th, or January 2021 to November 2023, it's 1,034 days. If you multiply that times 3/10 and add the result to May 14th, you get March 20th. So what I'm saying is that the time frame here from May 14th lines up with yesterday
spike
and
that we
today.
saw.
So the spike that's currently happening.
So maybe we could see
Lines on
another cycle start up then. Maybe that was the start, that maybe that was officially the end of the cycle from May until now, which would kind of make sense, where we could kind of track back up and then we see a major large spike maybe sometime in May. So
yeah, watch. So if you scroll a little bit to the right on Chart Exchange, you'll see that we start bleeding back down again. If you do the math, it ends up being at the end of next week until the week after. So you see how like the spike. Oh wait, you're back in current time because we're on the daily. But next week, starting like the 27th or 28th, which I think is the weekend, we start to bleed down all the way through the next week on November 23rd. I'm thinking like the November to December of 2023. And you have the current month pulled up. But if what I'm saying is even close to accurate, 360 days from May 14th ends up being May 10th, actually. And we can actually, can you see my thing still?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, so plus 360. Yeah, so May 9th, which is the Friday. Let's just check. January 28th, 2021. And then he tweeted right here, equals, subtract these two. Yeah, exactly 1,200 days. Like, what? I don't know. It's way too goddamn clean and pisses me off that it is, because, like, I don't know. And then divide by 3/10, you get exactly 360 days. And then we had the spike on May 14th, plus 360. Ends up being May 9th.
Huh. And it's right around that time frame when it comes to when obviously they're dealing with the board too. So I don't know. Maybe there could be something in fact here with what Twidge is saying. Twidge, anything else you'd like to add here this afternoon? We do have just a couple more posts we need to cover before we wrap up here this afternoon, but would love to hear it, my man.
Yeah, I just want to point out that if this is the 4 from January 28th, 2021 to like what we're currently in is a 4 fractal, and there is a one more leg of it after this May, which ends at the end of May. And then we're in a brand new fractal, right? Like December 07 to January 21 was one fractal. January 21 to August of 25 is one fractal. And then the last one is going to be, then we start into the one fractal where we're going to see another massive spike like January 21 again.
Excellent. All right. Well, good stuff. Well, you heard it from Twitch here this afternoon. I think it was his first time here coming to the PP show. You did an excellent example in terms of like regarding, your thoughts, things like that. So Twitch, we appreciate having you on the show. And chat, let's get some love for Twitch on his way out. Appreciate having you here, my man.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for coming.
All right, you heard it from Twidge, man. Right on. I mean, again, maybe there is something, fractals and all this stuff. People who do TA like him or UCopy or some other people out there, Dragon. They may see a lot of these patterns, right? Even some people who just casually look at TA, and there could in fact be patterns when it comes to this stuff. But again, I like hearing everyone's opinion. Some people have a different kind of a thesis, different from ours sometimes. But one thing that stood out for me for sure was that comment from someone out in X that said right around that time that they have pushed the board stuff back, which would in fact be around May 12th. And it does kind of line up with this too. So I don't know, maybe he could be onto something here. I don't know. You know, I've seen crazier stuff before. So let's take a look here real quick. I do want to take a look at a couple of these posts here. There was one obviously pertaining to Sultan that I did want to take a look at here, if you guys don't mind.
Is that the one with the stop sign?
No, that was from someone else. I actually want to talk about who Sultan is. Okay, some people do not know who Sultan is. So this was Alka out there. Big shout out to Alka, Miss. Let's take a look at what she says. She actually wrote a little bit of something about Sultan Almaadeed here. It says the investigation began by searching for information on Sultan Almaadeed to confirm his background and identity and identify his affiliates. Let me go ahead and pull Michael back in here. I think he was having some issues. Michael, are you there? I don't even hear him.
He said I can hear but not see. Maybe he can't talk either.
Oh. Michael, let me know if you're here or restart your phone. Maybe I'm not too sure what's going on there. All right. So it says here, identify his affiliates using queries like Sultan Almaadeed and Sultan Almaadeed ARC Investment Management. This was followed by a search for any collaborations between Sultan Almaadeed and Kathy Wood to determine their connection. The focus was on reliable sources such as Wikipedia, Bloomberg, PitchBook, Guru Focus, Apollo.io, Market Screener, SEC filings, and news articles to gather comprehensive data. Results on Sultan Almaadeed's identity with where is it here? My bad. Results on Sultan Almaadeed's identity. The search revealed that Sultan Almaadeed is a Qatari businessman with his family background tied to Almaadeed tribe, one of the primary tribes in Qatar from which the ruling family descends. Almaadeed, his professional profile as detailed in Sultan Almaadeed's profile, contact information and network PitchBook shows he is the founder and CEO of Envest, focused on investing in the global innovative economy. Prior to Envest, he worked at the Qatar Investment Authority, QIA, where he originated and executed investment opportunities in technology and real estate. Among other industries, notably investments include a $500 million growth investment in Sophie, a pre-IPO investment in Plantier, and the take private of Canary Wharf alongside Brookfield Asset Management. Spidey says, PP, check the link I sent you on Discord. I am so I don't have a Discord on my PC anymore. I have to re-download it. I have to re-download it on my phone. So maybe you can share it with us if I pull you in here, Spidey. Let me know in the chat. So it goes on to say here, he also oversaw significant mergers, okay, such as a $3 billion merger of Fairmont Raffles Hotels with Accor and the merger of UASC and Hapag Lloyd, creating a group value at over $7 billion with annual synergies, all right, very key word here, synergies, greater than $400 million. During his time at QIA, he acted as chairman of the board of 52 Capital, previously Harrods Estates, managing over $2 billion in European real estate assets. It also goes on to say chairman of the QIA Tender Committee, the Bloomberg profile Sultan Almaadeed, Al-Khoury Global Acquisition Corp., confirms he was the former chairman of Al-Khoury Global Acquisition Corp., a publicly traded SPAC. And also I want to add as well, one of his, I don't know if it's one of his friends or someone he had met, his name is Omar. His name is Omar Alahamori. I think I believe I said that right. I hope I did. So Omar actually joined the D Squad space yesterday and started to talk about he started to talk about SPACs, you know, and that was very interesting to me too. You know, I happened to tune in right around that time, and I don't know if he asked Michael or who he asked, but he did ask, are you guys aware that he was involved in like some form of a SPAC? Okay, which I thought was very interesting as well, because we were talking for a long time here that there could possibly be some kind of SPAC stuff going on as well when it comes to Bed Bath Beyond, butterfly transactions, things like that. So it did stand out to me. The Gulf Times article, Almaadeed, first Qatari to list his company on the NYSE as well. Gulf Times highlights that he was the first Qatari to list a company on the NYSE through Al-Khuri Global Acquisition Corp, which acquired Babylon Holdings Limited, listed under the ticker BBLN. Results on Sultan Almaadeed's affiliates. His affiliates based on the search results include Envis, his current company where he is the CEO, focusing on strategic partnerships, is what it says. Al-Khuri Global Acquisition Corp, also referred to as ARC Global Acquisition Corp. He served as chairman, as noted in Sultan Almaadeed, chairman ARC Global Acquisition Corp, Apollo.io, and Sultan Almaadeed net worth. I don't know. This is just a bunch of, I think this is like a bunch of like jumbled like chat GPT shit. The SPAC focuses on US based disruptive technology companies, as mentioned in the SEC filing. The Guru Focus page also lists the 10% owner of ARC Sponsors LLC as the key executive, suggesting a network connection. Qatar Investment Authority QIA, his former employer, where he executed significant investments as detailed in the PitchBook profile. Other companies, his investments in mergers involve Sophie, Plantier, Brookfield, Asset Management, Accor, Hapag, and 52 Capital, as noted in the PitchBook and investor page. Very interesting stuff, might I add.
He's big money.
I mean, yes, he is big money. And I want to go to his tweets real quick if we can. Michael, are you there or no? I think maybe we don't have Michael here. Okay, probably not. We can't hear Michael. Let's take a look at what he was tweeting out yesterday real quick if we can. Let me just pull this up for everybody here.
PP, we heard
a lot of tits out there. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember as you read it and I saw the spelling and vest. We heard from someone about that, like
that was the
weeks or months ago.
In January 18th was the first time he took a photo, and then we started doing a little bit of DD here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
SPCE says, at PP, please listen to Spidey. I don't have Discord installed, so if he can come on here and share what he wants to share, Spidey, you're more than welcome to. You're welcome on the show, my man. Please feel free. You can join with the link and you can come share what you want. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so obviously we know Sultan was pictured with Ryan Cohen. So many people out there were saying, this is a fucking AI photo, yada, yada, bullshit, my ass it is, okay? Now, is it probably a photo back from January? Yes, it most likely is. Almaadeed was wearing this exact same photo exact same clothing when he met with Ryan Cohen. Ryan Cohen was wearing this exact same jacket. And if you guys would like, I'll actually go back and actually show you this right here. Let's go back right here. We'll go back to January, and we will take a look at that photo of them together initially. Okay, this was the 18th of January right here. Okay. Yeah. So the 18th of January, they're wearing the exact same clothes, okay? From here to here. Same sweatshirt, same sweaters, things like that. So what I believe is that this photo is obviously from January, but it doesn't matter. It's not fake, okay? Some people are saying it's Photoshop, things like that. I think they were like talking about this like little light thing in the back of his ear, Cohen's ear over here. So this isn't Photoshop. This is, you can see these lamps that they have on the tables here.
Yep.
So this lamp you can match up with, these are lamps on the table. So someone said this is a cutout of his head. I don't know how you would be able to fucking perfectly get him seated in this position here. Jacket. He's got the cloth on his fucking legs here. This is a real photo, fellas. Okay. If people are saying this is a fake photo, they're full of shit. Okay. This is a very real photo. And no, it's not Photoshop. This behind his ear is literally the light on the table here. So again, Almaadeed has met with Ryan Cohen. So something is transpiring here. Now, one thing I found very, very interesting was very tit-jacking yesterday, were all of these tweets from Sultan here. It says, who can tokenize GameStop stocks and make it accessible to global investors? Hashtag GME. Imagine you increase the availability to billions of people around the world. Then we could see tokenized stocks at SpaceX and Tesla is what he tags as well, which is very interesting here. He also goes on to say, with Donald Trump's blessing, It's time for the U.S. to be the leader of the tokenized assets. Elon Musk, when can we bank and buy tokenized shares from X? Which I found very, very interesting as well.
Yeah.
He also says, time for the next gen Berkshire Hathaway, a $1 trillion company. And someone had actually done the math. It was actually Leroy here. If we're actually talking about a $1 trillion company, it says here, if our TSO was 739 million, we would be looking at about 1,300 per share. If it's a lot lower than that, we'd be looking at 2,300 per share. Obviously, the possibility of 117 million TSO would take us to about 8,500 per share, and then an 80 million TSO would be about 12,500 per share. So again, very like bullish numbers. If you ask me, if we're kind of going off of that. Let me pull up this other thing. And then obviously we do have the thing. I think Michael was talking about this earlier. I guess Michael is having some difficulty. I don't hear him in here. I don't know if his mic is muted, but yeah, for some reason we can't hear you, Michael. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't even know if he's in here. Maybe his phone is like fucking glitch or something.
Yeah. He's not in the chat.
But one thing I wanted to draw attention to as well was obviously what's happened with banks when they launch the X wallet, which I do think also pertains to. I think it also does have to pertain with XRP as well. And then Apollo, and we're gonna come right back to Apollo here in just one moment with Sultan as well, because there was an interesting thing regarding Pulte and also Apollo as well. So why don't we pull in Spidey real quick? Let's see what's going on with Spidey here. You might have something to share. Yes, go ahead.
When banks, I mean, when X launches its wallet and payment, what will happen to banks is called outflows. People will be, putting money in the X system instead of their bank.
Yeah,
more and more over time. So banks are terrified of that. I'm sure behind the scenes they've been trying to slow this down, lobbying and bullshit through Congress to stop it any way they could.
We were going to bring in Spidey, but it looks like he left. So I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe some people are having some issues tonight with their connections. I have no idea. All right. So obviously we do also have a picture of Sultan here. It does say Apollo CEO Mark Rowan. It says soon 1 trillion only do giga deals is what he says. This is him pictured with this CEO here of Apollo. Now, someone did post this as well regarding Apollo. Pulte said to screenshot this. Okay. So he wanted people to screenshot this for a later time. Jess B posted this. Jess B posted this and it says from Pulte, please screenshot this tweet. When it is announced, which I think it will be, that Apollo Global buys, using words like merger to help people's ego, of your and my company Virtue, please show that Pulte was always right and that they were indeed the wrong ones. Thank you. I don't know, man. I do find it very interesting here that obviously this is a tweet from back in January. And obviously we do have this photo with him and the CEO of Apollo. I don't know, could it be that Pulte kind of knows what's going on? There's a really strong possibility here. He was the very first person out there to kind of highlight this stuff. Obviously regarding Apollo and stuff like that, regarding Virtue and so forth. So I don't know. I do find it all very interesting, but I'm not really too sure, how it all kind of lines up here, right? It's anyone's guess. And then also to throw this in the mix too, and I'll let you go, Spurious. Nat Turner, okay, is now following Almaadeed. So something is happening here. Okay, this was from Hungry Ponds, I believe, as well. Even Nat Turner now, okay, new board member to GameStop, is now following Almaadeed. So something could, in fact, be happening here. There could be maybe like big money coming in, or possibly, this could be the injection of capital that they need to actually launch the next Berkshire Hathaway, right? It's going to take a lot of fucking money. It's going to take some companies involved as well. So with all that being said, I mean, Spurious, would love to hear it if you have anything to add regarding this.
It's extra interesting, at least for, one of the reasons would be, Apollo Global is one of the biggest big bads around. Like they've been so clearly connected. You can see through like Bloomberg Terminal, the amount that they've been shorting a lot of these retail stocks that we know over time have been super manipulated. they have a history of being charged and like basically found convicted of doing stock manipulation and stuff with I think they were one of the firms that was rigging the VIX, which is what tons of institutions are trading off, you know, what the VIX is doing at any given moment. So like the fact that they're involved here at all, and Pulte was definitely, he said he has his own, you know, sources that informed him that they were looking into buying Virtue. And then him and Sifu had this stupid spat where like Sifu's like, no, 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 no. And Pulte's like, yeah. And Gasparino's defending Sifu. It's so insane how incestuous all this stuff is. Like, the fuck is Gasparino from CNBC doing defending Virtue like it's his brother or something? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, it is very fucking bizarre. There was also this tweet too that I want to highlight as well. You know, obviously with the stuff going on with Virtue, stuff like that with Bill Pulte at the time, but Omar. Okay, this was that Omar Alamori, I think is how you say it. It says it's been 84 years. I mean, another saying that we say here, it's been 84 years. Let's make it fly. I don't know what he could be alluding to here. I mean, there's and again, I think that this could be wrapping up now, right? We're at the very end stages of here. You know, tokenization of baby is obviously happening around the 24th. At least that's what is being alluded here with Marcus Amonis. So the 24th would put us on Monday. Tuesday, you have GameStop, right? Earnings. And then the 31st is the last possible day, which is a Monday, for them to make a move regarding HBC and if they're going to get equity in the stock. So there is a lot of stuff kind of happening here regarding some of this stuff, right? Also, Gigi says, where's Spidey? I don't know what happened to Spidey. He was backstage here. We were going to pull him in, but the moment we went to let him in, he left. So I'm not too sure. There's a couple more posts, and then we're going to get out of here. There's not a whole lot left here. It looks like Michael's screen or something is broken. I don't even know if Michael is here with us right now, fellas. Okay, let me see real quick. I think that's it, actually. That's oh yeah, and this was the last thing from Mr. Omar as well. Omar and Sultan out there are hyping over the last 24 hours. It's a bunch of beans being spilled, and they say soon. I don't know. I think something's happening, man. If you ask me, maybe in fact something could be kind of transpiring here. So I don't know. It's really anyone's guess how this thing kind of plays out here. But again, I don't know. Maybe we'll see something kind of transpire here. We'll go ahead and let Spurious give us some closing thoughts. We also have Rick with us here. Let me see if Michael is. Michael, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Real quick here, we have Rick with the PP membership here. It says, where's Sloppy? Where's Thunder's Queefer? Where's Plura? It's a great fucking question. Sloppy, I think, might come on the show maybe sometime after his trip. I have no idea. Last I spoke with him, I think he said he might be coming back on. Slobo with the PP membership here. Jack PP, appreciate your support. We got Crayon Green with the PP membership for 22 months. Appreciate your support. Where's Sloppy? Yeah, maybe he might come back on. I'm not too sure. He's welcome on the show anytime. We also have DRS with the 2 as well. Own your shares in DRS. I wish my PP was bigger. Michael, did you have any opinions on a lot of this Sultan stuff? Oh, there we go. We got your picture back, your audio. Anything you'd like to add, Michael? We're all ears.
No, it's all exciting. I think it's going to scale really quickly, and I think that's why Ryan Cohen's been silent about everything. Is because the deal is like literally so big. Loose lips sink ships, and I think we're going to see how big it really is pretty quickly.
Cool. All right, right on. Well, Michael, you seem to be lagging a little bit there, so we'll start wrapping up here. So, Michael, enjoy the weekend. Hope to see you next week, and enjoy the rest of the night. We'll take
Sounds good.
Chat, let's get some love for Michael on his way out. Let's go ahead and hear it from Spurious. Spurious, anything else you'd like to add this afternoon as we start to wrap up today's PP show? We're all ears. Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's incredible how big all this stuff is now. Clearly, like it was big. It's been big, but now I think because we're really close to the end, to everything becoming public. Now we can actually tell how big it's been all along. like a whole year ago or something, I was always trying to keep politics out of everything. And the stuff I post, like I just ignore politics and report on only like the financial stuff and market stuff. But the last few months, it's become clear the previous, the stuff I said at the beginning of the show, my little article presentation thing, it's very clear in retrospect that the SEC under Gary Gensler, who came out of Goldman Sachs,
Yes.
Was blocking all kinds of shit, blocking all mergers. Like news of that came out, and suing all crypto brokers. And GME couldn't go through with its NFT marketplace and plans there because there was no blockchain framework, and the SEC was clearly against him. So, and the previous administration, I don't care who's in the White House. I care what they do, whoever's in there. So like under the previous administration, a lot of stuff didn't happen that should have, and some stuff happened that shouldn't have. And this administration coming in is cutting costs, which is just absolutely necessary. It is what it is. Country wasn't on a sustainable financial path. And now the SEC is getting uprooted, hundreds of people leaving the SEC,
Right,
getting audited. All this stuff I think was necessary all along. We just didn't know it. And now that, Doge is uncovering this stuff and putting it public, you can look at the contracts of what they're, of the deals that they're taking down. Like it's all public info now, which is beautiful because that's accountability, which we never had.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, we're seeing how big all this stuff is, how many government agencies are involved. And it's amazing. It's deeply disturbing how much was like interrelated and how much stuff was interfering with what should have just been straightforward company growth, mergers and acquisitions, But now that we know, and now that we see these things changing, I'm extremely encouraged to see it all changing in real time. It's pretty crazy the times we're living in. Best time to be alive is now,
Right on.
So, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, you heard from Spurious here tonight. Spurious, enjoy the rest of the night. Chat, let's get some love for Spurious on his way out, and appreciate having you here at the PP Show. Enjoy the weekend. We'll take care. Take care. See you, man. There you have it, man. The PP Show. Not a whole lot happening, but our titties are absolutely chafed and jacked, man, as we sit here and wonder why the fuck Sultan Almaadeed is assimilated here in this community now, right? Pulte's, kind of moved on the FHFA, and, we don't have that hype being generated anymore. So what did RC do? He sent his next person to us, man, who maybe could be Sultan, right? And some people out there think, this is bullshit and yada yada and whatever the fuck they want to say. I don't know why they're so some people are so fucking angry sometimes, but I like, when there's big money being generated here, and I like when they're talking about GameStop. Because again, this kind of highlights and solidifies the fact that big money, it's going to take big money to move this thing, man. We're in very different waters from 2021. And, now that Gary Gensler is out, and now that we have Paul Atkins coming in at the end of the month, it's very bullish. And things, I think, are looking on the up now. HBC, bonds are going up, reclassification of bonds, cram down of gift cards. I mean, this is all happening in 1 month, fellas. And now we have the, Sultan and Qatar money possibly coming in as well. It could get very crazy very quickly. So with that being said, appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Appreciate you guys, whether you watch or donate, whatever it may be, appreciate having you guys here. So with that being said, enjoy the weekend, man, as we head into next week. Next week, I should be here. I will keep you guys updated. We should have a show next week, but I will keep you guys updated for that too. So earnings is next week. Obviously, we have the tokenization of Baby, and it all comes down to the end of this month regarding HBC. It's been a very long month, fellas. I mean, this is probably the longest month it's been. So enjoy the rest of the night. Love you all. And we'll see you guys next time on the show. Take care. Peace.